People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone. Women seem wicked when you're unwanted. Streets are uneven when you're down. When you're strange.
Speaking of strange, welcome to Granny's Beach Tea, episode 60.
60! We're grandparents, Ed.
We're old enough now to be listening to the Doors like this. So there you go.
Yes, we are.
So thanks for joining us as always. I appreciate all the support out there. If you're joining us on our Facebook stream, joining us on YouTube, if you're joining us on Twitter or Instagram or your audio-only version, wherever you found it, thank you and welcome. Got some Doors going. Some people are strange.
We do.
And a little inspired by the trailer for a movie tonight, Morbius.
Yeah, which I think it's apropos because I think the trailers were the best part. Oh, wait, let's talk about it later.
Oh, all right. Well, it's a tease. It's a tease what we're going to get into. So, we'll get to that when we get around to that. But yeah, so we're pretty excited to be talking about that though because we have a new Marvel movie.
Yeah,
I put it in quotes.
It's a Sony. It's a Marcini. I don't know. I like Marcini. It's a Marcini movie.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? It's always fun to have a new movie to talk about.
Exactly. We got a new comic book movie, so we're excited one way or the other. So put it that way. We also got some new MCU content. We'll be talking about Moon Knight episode 2, which shot earlier today on Disney Plus. So if you watched it, then you can hang around and check us out for the spoiler review. If you haven't, come back and listen to us another time, and then listen to it again and again and again, until you're tired of it. So.
Yeah, because here's the thing: if you don't listen now, you have to stop and go watch the show, but then you have to come back, but then you owe us at least 2 listens. I mean, that's how the commerce on here works, right?
I think so. I think that's what Ferrati told us, right, when we started. I think that was it.
Yeah, I think so. Either that or we're in a pyramid scheme.
One or the other.
Yeah.
And pyramids fit in with us talking about Moon Knight.
That's why I brought it up, my friend.
We also got a CW verse show to talk about. We got last week's Flash episode 9 to get into because the others are on hiatus. So
they're away.
Yeah, but Jason, though, how was your week? I know you had some live action on Monday. How's it been?
It's been good. The week's been good. We just did The Man with the Golden Gun on Monday. That was awesome. But you know what? I'm not even gonna talk about that because I watched another episode of Baywatch Nights, and that's really what I got to talk about here. And I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna be a blanket unhassling the Hoff statement from here on in.
Oh,
it is obvious that Mr. David Hasselhoff did not approve of these changes to his show.
You think he reluctantly filmed?
Absolutely. He doesn't even look because in the first season I was having fun because that man was having fun. As ridiculous as it got, he was it was balls to the wall. We're a Baywatch spinoff, right? We're in X-Files territory now, and I literally mean that because this episode has Mitch run afoul of aliens.
Wow.
Like, it starts off with Mitch, of course, at the beach, because everything starts off at the beach. And Mitch sees a kid going into the water, and I don't know, the kid kind of starts to drown, and Mitch goes out to save him, and he pulls him back, and white lightning out of nowhere hits the ocean and knocks them both out. And they win a telepathic link. He can read this kid's mind and feel his emotions. And he finds out through this that the kid is an alien who's going to be killed, who's trapped on Earth with other aliens pretending they're going to be a family. And they're going to kill the kid because he almost just exposed them. And they're like biding their time till they can fix their spaceship and get the hell out of there. And so Mitch saves this kid via their psychic link. And then the kid gets taken by the government, which apparently there's like this guy. They did like a switch where there was Mitch's like friend, Ellerby Garner, who was the ex-cop in the first season.
Uh-huh.
And they switched, he's gone, and it's just like this mysterious guy who gives them vaguely missions of vague psychicness and supernatural stuff. But you find that this episode he works for the government and they abduct the kid to study them as an alien, and the kid says goodbye to Mitch and says, I'm going home now, and then he commits suicide, like, by just leaving his body. I don't know what I watched, Ed.
How many of these do you have left to go?
Oh God, I've got a whole season. I've got like 18 is the best. I think I've watched 4 of these. If I'm lucky, it's 4.
Oh my God.
I mean, and like Angie Harmon isn't even around much anymore, and when she is, she's not doing anything. And they've completely gotten rid of the will they, won't they, which I was really enjoying in the first season.
You were really on edge about that. You're not gonna know what was gonna happen.
I knew they were gonna knock boots at knock sandals. It's Baywatch. I knew they were gonna knock sandals at some point, but I wanted to take the ride, and the ride is gone now. Everything that made this, like, I started this show for this season where I thought stuff got crazy, but I missed last season because last season was genuinely crazy and fun and charming, and this is just not charming.
Well, speaking of charming, Farachi's joined us. What's up, boss? I have no idea why I'm after that story. We're getting the Hoff on. I don't know, man. If you could help us, anyone out there can help us. Get this to David Hasselhoff, please. Like, we want to talk to him. We have so many questions that we need answered.
Look, I would talk to David Hasselhoff about anything he wanted, legitimately. But like, I would specifically talk to him about Baywatch Nights. I'd want to know his creative input. I'd want to know what his vision was. I'd want to know how he felt after this change and if I was correct. Like, God, seriously, someone out there has to know. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? It's 6 Degrees of look at David Hasselhoff. Someone's got to know this man. Get him on this show for me. I need answers about Baywatch Nights.
I have so many questions for him about Nick Fury, about Baywatch Nights, about Knight Rider. I mean, I can keep going on about Kung Fury. I mean, there's so much.
No. Anything the man has been in has been gold, and I want to talk about his pop singing career in Germany. I want him to sing with us. I want him to teach me a song in German.
He can come on here and speak totally in German. It doesn't matter. If we understand them or not, it's all good.
I took German in college, so I might understand like 3 words. That won't help us.
Okay. It's 3 more than I would. Oh, man. So, oh, wow, that's what it was. The deadline will be the Hoff on PCP. So it's good for his career.
It'd be great.
It really would be.
It would be. This would be the next step after this is the MCU, right? That's where everyone in PCP goes after this. The MCU. So
he's already in the MCU. He's in Guardians Volume 2.
But he could a bigger role.
Oh, okay.
Like he had a cameo. I'm talking like a villain, or like or a tough, So someone worthy of David Hasselhoff's stature.
All right, that's fair enough. Or you can do something with Volume 3, with Guardians Volume 3. Maybe Will sees him at one point and sees a guy who really looks like him or whatever, and it's actually him. That'd be
wonderful.
Yeah. So, all right. One more comment before we get rolling to some comic book stuff. Alex is chiming in. From what I've heard, Morbius is the worst movie with the greatest potential. That's actually a really great question.
It is. I would say I don't know if it's the worst movie with the greatest potential, because I think staying in the Sonyverse, I would say in my opinion that's Maximum Carnage, because I think that movie with what it had like it had amazing potential. Like you're giving me Woody Harrelson as a serial killer, come on, But but I agree that this was a movie that had a lot of potential if handled right and had an understanding of the way movies work. You know what I mean? But it wasn't that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to save that for the last segment.
Yeah,
for my
you're right.
But I just put it up because I thought it was an interesting question, because that's been getting thrown a lot. There's a lot of memes out there about Jared Leto in like the worst DC movie and the worst Marvel movie.
And I do want to address that. I want to talk about that.
Yeah. We'll talk about that. So stay tuned for the third segment of the show because that's when we'll be getting deep diving into Morbius. But let's go ahead and start off how we normally do, and let's talk about some CW-verse. We got The Flash Season 8, Episode 9, our only CW show of the week. So, Jason, what do you got from the world of Barry Allen?
All right. So, I mean, look, it's a fun episode. It's not as good as the last two, but it's like there are two very simple plot lines. We find that Iris is still dealing with this time sickness, and she's trying to figure that out. We see the time guy, I forget what they're called, the Force. Time Force. We see the Time Force guy.
Is the Still Force guy. Like, he does those, like, this still thing where he stops time and shit like that.
Yeah. The guy in the Letterman jacket. Dion, that's it. I couldn't remember his name. I could see his face. Couldn't remember his name. But so Dion is like, yeah, all right, I'm going to look into it. Let's see what's going on. That's how it starts. Then we have two stories. So Flash's story is he's chasing the fire meta that we thought in the last episode was a serial killer, but it is not. It's a bit more menacing, although I don't know if I think this is a bit more interesting. But it actually is. The fire turns out, like at the end, to be a meta itself that feeds off grief. And we see that play out through it is feeding, once it comes into contact with Chester, who I go back and forth from really liking to really hating, like in like the span of 5 minutes. Because at times he's really charming, and it like I think the actor is charming, but the character's written like a child.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to still go for him as being like the Cisco replacement, and it's not working. It doesn't. I don't hate the character either, but it just doesn't work for me as him being like the Cisco replacement, at least. I
don't think so either. And I like that actor, and I kind of wish they'd go, we don't need another Cisco. Let's make him his own thing.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So his whole thing is he starts to believe that it's his father in the Black Fire, trying to communicate with him and like telling him how wrong he is and how he did his father wrong. And it's all about it. Like Chester's been feeling guilty about stuff that went down with his dad. If you remember last season, he does have issues with his dad. He thought his dad ran out on him and didn't care about him, and just only when we went back in time to meet Dion. And that's the first time we meet him in that episode. Is the first time he finds out that his dad actually cared. So we kind of see that playing out here, and then he confronts it, and it winds up to be a meta who feeds on grief, and it gets away. And so that's kind of that facet of it, and that's interesting. But I personally think a meta serial killer would have been more interesting.
Yeah, I'm on board. I was kind of disappointed by the reveal, to be honest with you, because we talked about it last week. We were excited about the idea of like the Flash and Barry Allen CSI having to like chase down a serial killer over like the span of a few episodes, and it kind of just like pulled the rug out from underneath that, and they changed it, and maybe it is more interesting. We'll see how it plays out.
We'll see.
Too much Allegra again.
Why
is this happening?
Well, that's the thing, because they have lost some serious cast members. You know, they've lost Cisco, they've lost forget his name, but like literally my favorite character on the show, and I can't remember his name. Wells. And all the Welleses are gone. So I think they're trying to fit these other characters in, but the thing is they're not making these other characters interesting. Allegra is just not interesting. And as a point of fact, I think Dearborn is more interesting, and I kind of wish they would have adopted her instead of having her just come back every now and then. And that is made painfully obvious in this episode.
Yeah, I like Dearborn as a character, and I've noticed there was no mention of Dibney.
Nope, I noticed that
Dibney.
too.
Like, that's it. They're just like, we mentioned him once since he's been gone, and now magic. That's it, gone.
And I wonder if the reason we have Allegra and not, because I really think, because again, I watched these seasons not too long ago, less than a year ago at this point, and I really thought that they were grooming Dearborn to join this Flash squad, and it was going to be her and Dibney, and I think they were. And then that summer is when the actor got canceled, and then they fired him, and I think they wrote her out because she was attached to him, and keeping her and not him would have been too glaringly obvious. And that's why they brought her in once. They brought her in the same episode he was in, and I think they brought her in once after that. So they've been keeping her around, so we remember her, because apparently they must like the actress, right? So I think
she's good. I like her.
I do too. I think she's fantastic. But I think that she was supposed to fill that Allegra spot, and that was supposed to be the character. And then because of that, they had to switch gears, and maybe they just didn't have time to create a compelling character like they had in Dearborn. So that's kind of my theory on that.
No, I think it's a pretty good one. It's a pretty good theory because Allegra she just brings nothing to the table, and she mentions a couple of times in this episode, like, yeah, we've got your back, and we're gonna do this. Like, you're doing nothing. You're a meta who has powers that never uses them. You do nothing with them besides play D&D with Chester.
Right.
Which happens once in a while.
Which, to be honest, I just hear them talk about. If I actually got to see an episode where her and Chester played D&D in their group, I'd be all about it.
Of course, because you're playing D&D like tomorrow night.
I am. Yes, I am.
You'd be all about it. That'd be your episode.
It'd be great. I'd use that episode to explain the mechanics of it on this show.
That would be great. I want them to try to talk about D&D in depth, and I want an episode where you call them out and something. I don't think you guys are really playing. This is bullshit.
It's
That's what I'm waiting for. They stay too vague about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Because they don't really know it. Because the writers probably don't play the game.
No, they're like, well, this sounds like something they would play, so let's go ahead and throw it in there.
All right, but then the B plot, real quick, because I don't think we spend too much time on this episode of The Flash. So Dearborn shows up, and Iris goes with her, and they are not hunting, but they're trying to track down a meta using this thing that Chester put on Iris's phone, and Iris is literally trying to do what she did in the first season of The Flash and sort of write about this meta and bring her out and bring her on the team and sort of help kind of sculpt her public image, which I know Iris says that she has good intentions, and I'm sure part of it is, but it's also you want to put yourself on the map. I mean, come on. Yeah. You want to make this your thing, Iris.
Yeah, she has this power where she walks through walls and shit, right? So it seems like she's kind of I don't know. She's like Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
Like that.
Yeah. Or Vision, I think, in the comic can do the same thing where it can phase through walls.
Yeah. We see some phasing from Vision.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, a little bit, but it's not I think in the comic it's way more prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so the girl's name is Tinia, and she's she's a kid. She's 20, 22, if that. And she's she really doesn't have a home, and she's looking for her birth mother, right? She's adopted, and she's got this. She's really upset and needs this closure, which I actually liked her a lot. I like this character. I hope they keep her around. I thought what we saw here was interesting.
Better than Allegra.
100%. 100%. Get rid of Allegra. Bring this woman in. But this woman is correct in being creeped out by Iris. Because Iris just comes up to her in a jitters while she's waiting on her coffee, holding her iPhone with this dark matter sensing app where you can sense metas, and she's like, "Oh, you're a meta. You're the meta who can walk through walls. Isn't that correct?" And this girl's like, "Who the fuck are you? Get out of here."
She fries her phone too. Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. But so then it's even creepier because Iris goes, "What's your name?" And she goes, "I'm not telling you my name." And then they say, "Tinia, your coffee." It's the one time, of course, a Starbucks is going to get your name right. And so Iris goes, "Oh, Tinia." And so it's wait a minute, you're a stranger. You come up to me out of nowhere. You tell me you're a reporter who wants to, introduce me to the world as a superhero. You don't respect my privacy that I don't want to give you my name because you're fucking creepy that you track me down on your phone. Like, she is 100% correct in her reaction of frying Iris's phone, giving her the CW verse of the finger and walking out of there.
Oh, absolutely. No, I would have done the same thing if I could.
100%. But then, like, they wind up getting her on board because Iris gives her the whole, like, I'm a good reporter speech. And, it's the power of love. Don't need money. Don't need fame. Just the new credit card to ride this train. And then we end where we began with Dion showing up going, Iris, I know what's wrong with you. And it's not good news.
And that's it.
That's my soap opera face.
That was good.
Thank you.
I can see that like Days of Our Lives, General Hospital.
Right? The General Hospital. That's where because I used to watch that show religiously when I was in grad school.
Okay.
Because you look, you need to turn the brain off sometimes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's a Flash. It was an okay episode. Nothing special, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I was a little bummed out about it. I was a little disappointed by it because we were on a little bit of a mini good stretch, and now this one kind of like took a step back. So
we had two really good ones.
We'll see how it goes next week. All right, then I guess let's go ahead and shift gears to the MCU with Moon Knight. But before we do, one person who normally joins us who cannot tonight, but he wants to chime in is again. He said that name.
Rick, why did you say that name? What? Who? Am I being punked? Ashton Kutcher, are you here? Why did you say that name?
Oh, boy, it's been a while since we've gotten a Martha drop in by Rick.
I love it. Thanks, Rick. I miss you, man. Wish you could have been on tonight.
Yeah, Wednesdays are tough for him. He's been playing ball on Wednesday night. So
I know he does Monday too. He's been watching the James Bond movies with us and listening. But he can't make it home in time to get on the show because he texts me and he's like, "What are you watching this week?" And I tell him, I'm like, "Come on the show." And he's like, "I can't. I got softball."
Yeah, I'm gonna be there too. We're softball junkies, but most of mine is on the weekend, so like I said, it doesn't interfere with this too much. So, all right. So earlier today we got Disney Plus dropping Moon Knight episode 2. So I'm gonna drop that spoiler warning across the bottom. So if you have not watched it again, you have been warned. So get the step in, come back when you've watched it. So, or unless you don't care and you just want to hear about it, then knock yourself out, kiddo.
There are spoilers here.
Exactly. That's it.
That's my con shoe. I got to work on it. I know it's not that good, but I got to work on it. I'm going to work on it. Hopefully I can get it better.
Yeah, I thought a really interesting, informative episode. I thought we got a lot of stuff that was set up last week unraveled. Like we got a lot of Mark Spector's whole deal, like I talked about last week. We talked about his deal with Khonshu, so we got to learn more about that and his whole motivation. And we got a lot to learn about Arthur, who and his motivation. I think they just expanded a lot on things that were introduced last week, which is important if you over the 6-episode arc.
100%.
You set out, you plant the seeds, and now they're starting to grow. So,
and how good is Ethan Hawke in this?
He's excellent, and this one scene in specific we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah,
him and Oscar Isaac crush it.
Like that's the thing. It's like I'm gonna be honest with you, like because I don't know this character a lot. Every day, I'm kind of like I still don't 100% know what's going on. I'm still waiting for certain things because I'm not used to. Which I think is the point. That's why we start with Stephen Grant.
No, I agree.
Because Marvel knows that like 75% of its readership has never read a Moon Knight comic.
Fair enough.
But just getting to watch Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac in particular just do their thing in this, like I don't even need to necessarily get it all at once. I'm just enjoying the performances.
I think this show is doing with what Naomi wants to do and unravel a secret.
Yes.
That's there, but this is at a much better pace.
Agreed.
So, Naomi's a CW show that we normally cover. That's on hiatus right now. But yeah, they kind of do the similar stuff, but like this is infinitely better. So Steven wakes up in the beginning of the episode in his own bed and starts questioning what the hell happened last week. That whole thing and I think it's great that he mentions that he destroyed a toilet, he vandalized the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great because I also think for like an American audience, like I actually wasn't familiar with the terminology of what what was referred to as a toilet in London until I went there a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
and it's the bathroom,
Right.
Like I wasn't familiar with it, and I found it hilarious when he keeps on mentioning that, like, oh, I vandalized the toilet, that's why I'm in trouble, really, But they said it's okay.
Yeah.
Like he keeps going back to that. I thought
Yeah,
it just sounds hilarious. So.
Yeah, I thought that was hysterical, and I think Stephen Grant is really funny in this, like the version, and I really appreciated that because Mark Spector is super serious,
Yeah,
and even when we get like the white suit, which we'll get to, it's a funnier version of the suit because it's Stephen Grant, and I kind of really appreciated that and his humor in this.
no, me too. He has a lot of quick, smart ass remarks too, like quite a bit, and I think it's hilarious. I mean, that's right up my alley. Yeah, so he wakes up and questions what happened last week, and then I thought it was very clever that he goes to check the footage at his job, and it turns out that Mark Spector went ahead and erased the damn thing, and also acted out his own version of what happened, so they can see something. And he gives that look into the camera because he knows that's for Steven. Like he's pissed, but it's just like letting him know, like, dude, like, don't fucking do this.
Yeah. And I like Steven going, that's not me.
Yeah, he's kind of like terrified in a way. He's just like, there's no way that's not me.
And it's also crazy because we find out in this scene that, and this comes back later, other people can't see that Egyptian jackal, which we find out it's an Egyptian jackal. Like, because it was there, it was chasing him, right? But no one can see it outside, which is why, and Mark, of course, knows that, which is why he can then erase the tape on the inside and, fix whatever he needs to fix so no one sees the Moon Knight costume.
Yeah, but it also goes into like what we talked about last week, that Mark is making sure that he's covering Steven, like making things right for Steven throughout it. And I think that's really an interesting aspect of this.
And I have a theory about that, and I'll talk about it when we get to the end of this, because I think I know why he takes such good care of Mark and tries to maintain Mark's life. And I want
Steven, Mark.
I'm sorry, Steven. Yeah, Mark does that for Steven. Yeah. So I before when we get to the end, I'm going to give you my theory.
So, and I thought this scene right after that with HR is talking to him, and they're pretty much like, hey, we're not going to press charges. It's all good, but you should go see this doctor.
So funny.
And his line, Steven has a quick line in this that I thought was great, where, when the HR guy's like, listen, I know it's regular HR speak, but you're not alone. And Steven's just like, oh, that's part of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I also like the moment where Steven's like, it looks like they look like they're good listeners. The guy's like, yeah, they're good listeners.
He has just like little subtle things that are pretty great. Yeah, so Steven goes ahead and then has the key and goes to check this storage unit because he's going to try to see, making sure that he's not crazy because he's questioning everything. What's going on here? But by the footage being erased, he's really questioning it because he's like, dude, I saw this old guy in a mirror and, turned into a fucking magic suit and took down this damn jackal over there. So he goes and he finds in a storage unit that pretty much Mark Spector has this whole thing set up like a living quarters. And he has his like duffel bags there, which has got a gun in it, and it's got various different kinds of currency from around the world, different types of money, a passport that says Mark Spector on it, and the scarab is in there, which he kind of figures out quickly is like a compass. He doesn't know to what, but he kind of sees that it like floats in the air and it looks like it's trying to head into a certain direction, which later on in the episode we find out the damn thing is a compass to Amit's tomb.
Yes,
which is really interesting.
And that's why Ethan Hawke's character is trying to get it so much, because that's their god, right? That's the god he serves. And we find out later he's got a staff with a little bit of her power, and we actually see him call one of these like Egyptian jackals. It's badass. So like he is in bed with her completely. So that's why he's willing to like kill anyone to get his hands on this thing. Yeah,
so that becomes kind of like the MacGuffin throughout the episode, like in this one where it bounces around a bit. But then Mark starts to explain the whole deal because he sees him in the mirror and he wants control, but Steven's not giving it up. And he's just like, listen, I am Khonshu's avatar. And they have a conversation quickly. Khonshu, the Egyptian god of the moon and everything. And he even says, like, this sounds completely stupid and incompetent. Like, I feel like that's how some people are viewing this, where they're just like, who don't know anything about it and don't want to give it a chance. Or they're just like, oh, Moon Knight, Egyptian god, get the hell out of here. It's fucking awesome. Give it a damn chance. And I like the fact that Steven, who's a vegan, he blames, he's like, damn, I eat one piece of steak and I go crazy over here. Like, this is what the hell it is. I thought that was really funny.
That's right. I forgot about that. That was awesome.
That was great. And then he steps out of the thing and he encounters Khonshu in this hallway scene, which was shot incredibly. Look, the lights flashing and he's popping through and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then as he's running by, the locked doors are shaking, which I thought that was awesome. I got a hot take about Khonshu in this episode.
Oh,
can
I
share my?
Of course.
I don't think he's a hero, man. I don't like the way he treats Mark Spector, the things we learn about him through Ethan Hawke's character, which you can only believe part of it.
Yeah.
Because you find out about, we're almost there. Ethan Hawke's character was the last, follower of Khonshu.
Yeah, his avatar. That was his former avatar.
Yeah, his former avatar. To the point where he knows exactly what Khonshu's going to say and how he's going to say it, even though he can't see him anymore. And, so I really... And you also find out that, Amit's not a good guy either, a good person either. Oh. They're willing to kill children for something they haven't done yet, but I really feel Khonshu is not a good guy. He's kind of a dick in this episode.
I mean, listen, we might find out he's a good guy, but he's just a dick. Like Bruce Wayne, we agreed he's a dick eventually. But
yeah, but we find out that he has Mark in servitude.
Yeah, for pretty much because, well, whatever. We can touch on this quickly.
I'm sorry. I jumped ahead because I was talking
we can touch on it quickly. It's just that we do find out throughout the episode that Khonshu, through a conversation with Mark and Khonshu, that he found him dead, like we talked about last week. So they're sticking with a lot of the comics accurate stuff, is that he found him dead in a desert and brought him back to life. And he's in servitude, and his deal with him is that he needs to go ahead and be his avatar and bring essentially his version of justice to the planet. That's kind of what it is. He's dealing out justice like this. You first him as the... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so I get that was the deal they made, right? And that's fine, right? That's the deal they struck. He saved his life. He owed him one. But, the whole thing about Khonshu saying, just this one more thing, and then I'll let you go. And Khonshu makes it very clear that he's really not going to do that. And if he does, he's going to take his wife, which we meet in this episode as Layla, who was set up in the last episode. That's the woman who was calling. And that's why he's not around her. So it's like Khonshu going you're going to serve me or I'm going to take someone you love. After making the promise that if you do this, and this, your debt to me is fulfilled. That's a villain move. That's not a hero move.
Oh, I'm not all in defense of him. I do think though that there's still more to be unraveled here to see what it is. Why he chose this fist of vengeance, because it was Arthur at one point, Ethan Hawke's character.
Yes.
And now it's Mark Spector, and he threatens that he's got his eye on his wife Layla to potentially be his replacement. Now he might be bluffing. He might. Who knows? We don't know that. That's what I'm saying. There's still layers to this. I think there's more to it. Plus, I want to know more about why and how did Arthur get out of his servitude to Khonshu and jump ship to Amit. That's right. There's something there that we obviously don't know yet. They dance around that.
Of course.
Arthur doesn't talk about that. He just states that he was the former Avatar.
Right. And again, look, I could change my opinion next episode, but I'm just saying, as someone who knows nothing about the character, the way I stand right now is I think both Amit and Khonshu are both dicks.
and that could also be true. In the MCU, there's a lot of gods that are dicks.
That's true.
So, Yeah, but you mentioned he runs as he's escaping Khonshu. Then he runs into Layla, who is looking for him, tracking his phone, and is looking for Mark. Thinks it's Mark Spector, and then goes ahead and then she takes him back to his flat as he requests repeatedly, and they go back to his apartment. And then we find out that Mark and Layla are going to get divorced, and Mark sent her the papers to sign. Now, my belief is obviously this is just Mark, based on what we just talked about. Mark is trying to protect Layla.
Yes.
Not telling her anything about what's going on, doesn't want any of the scarab. She mentions that they had adventures before and things like that. And when she sees the scarab,
she knows about it. They were both looking for it. She knows exactly what it is, what purpose it serves. Mm-hmm. She knows about the suit. She knows about Khonshu. She is she's all in on this.
Oh, for sure. And that's why I think Mark is just trying to protect her and keep her away. Yeah. She probably doesn't know the part that Khonshu is eyeing her to be Mark's replacement.
No, I don't think
and
so.
That's why Mark is trying to keep her at bay for a little bit just to protect her.
And now this is a perfect place for me to say my theory about why I think Mark takes such good care of Steven is because so we find out it's obvious Mark is trying to protect Layla. He obviously still loves her. That's made very obvious in this episode. He tells Steven, okay, just let me do what needs to be done to finish this last thing. Then I am out of Khonshu's debt, and you will never see me again. I think Mark's plan to protect Layla is to get himself out of the deal with Khonshu and let Steven take over full time and not surface again. So Khonshu doesn't even have a way to know where Layla is. That's why he's so pissed off that Layla's has tracked Steven, and he's so pissed off that Steven's brought her into it, because I think his plan was to literally set himself up in one of his altars, which he set the life of up, right? Mm-hmm. Steven he had a job, he has credentials, he has an ID. Someone set that up if he's the altar, and it had to have been Mark. So I think Steven was his plan to save Layla from Khonshu. That's my theory.
Oh, I think that's good. That sounds pretty damn solid, honestly. So nice work. I'm kind of with you on that. I think that sounds about right. Yeah. So then, as there's cops that go and bust in the apartment. Layla, hides on the outside. She knows what's up, and it turns out it's Arthur's people. And they go ahead and they say that they're cops. They take Steven back to this village, and it appears like Arthur's kind of running. He's got his own cult situation going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. We got a quick comment in here on the last comment you dropped in from William Michael. I hate agreeing with Jason, but I think I agree with Jason. That pains me.
Yeah, Will is the Blofeld to my 007. Literally, he came on our show dressed as Blofeld.
Yeah, you can go check that episode of 00 Deep Dive on. It was a pretty fun episode that we had with covered Spectre.
And actually, because I hate agreeing with Will, I changed my mind completely.
Oh, wow. Okay. Damn it. Ruined it. Yeah, so pretty much, Arthur has this whole village of followers, and I guess they're Amit worshippers that are going on there. They're learning different languages and stuff. They're speaking in Mandarin, he off the top of the bug.
He even said, because I don't think it's a village. I think he took over a neighborhood in whatever place they're living in, because he said this used to be the most crime-ridden place in the city, and now people don't lock their doors. So I think what happened was he came in and systematically did his weighing the scales thing
and wiped out a bunch of people that could have had any kind of inkling of evil in them.
Right. And so his followers are the good on the tips of the scales. But I don't think it's definitely a cult, but but I think it's a neighborhood in a city or a town or wherever they are that people just don't go to because it used to have a bad crime rep, and now no one calls the cops. So who cares? We're gonna leave it alone. So I think that's even creepier.
Yeah, because they also look like they're watching this video, this film on a wall, and it's very weird what's going on there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I get a lot of like cult things that are going on there. So yeah, so then that's when we get to that conversation that Arthur has with Steven, where Arthur starts describing that he was the former avatar of Khonshu, starts pretty much saying the words that he's saying, that what Khonshu's saying, and keeps telling him you don't have to listen to him.
Yeah.
Like,
and
he can say things, he can blow wind, because at one point
Right.
there's like wind going by, and he's like, he can't do anything without you. He needs an avatar. He's kind of like helpless without it. And
yeah, and I love that because Khonshu, of course, is scary. If Khonshu appeared like that to any of us, we'd be shitting ourselves, right?
of course,
But I love that Arthur's like, no, you have the power. He's scary. You have the power. And Arthur is honestly, I love this type of villain. This is the type of villain I would be. Like, I really feel that what I'm doing is for the betterment of everyone. And it might be, of course, at the sacrifice of individuals who might, it might be criminals, right? We don't know. I mean, I admit knows, but we don't. But also, like, he's not menacing, except in the sense that he's so charming and off-putting. Like, he they bring Steven in, and he's like, take the cuffs off. Once he finds out, once they hear what happens, because they set him up to like have that conversation with Mark, and they're listening, and they pull him out and they're about to rough him up, and he's like, take the cuffs off, stand up. Are you hungry? I'm a vegan. You're a vegan, right? I just made some lentil soup. It's that guy's recipe. It's like he's so disarming that when you get to the point when he's like, okay, now I need the scarab, and the followers get up and start to move in, I felt uncomfortable because he had disarmed me in the audience as forgetting that he is so menacing. And it's my favorite kind of villain. And Ethan Hawke, man, kudos to you for this performance. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, he really, like, that's the scene that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That was an awesome scene that he has, because he's explaining Amit's whole thing about judging people and like stopping evil before it happens. And Khonshu's whole thing is like, yeah, his fist of vengeance shows up, but people have already been harmed. I'm trying to stop shit before it goes down.
Right.
And then Steven disagrees with them. He's like, well, what about children? What about, you're kind of judging the innocents, aren't you? Because you're innocent until proven guilty, no? So technically, you're killing innocent people also.
Right.
So
although I think Steven's logic might be a bit off, only because I don't know how Amit's powers work. Because Steven says, because I'm very interested in this concept of, innocent, guilty. If I'm going to definitely commit a crime in the future, should I be stopped beforehand? Like, Minority Report stuff makes me very interested. And that's pretty much what this is. It's Minority Report, like boiled down to the concept. Mm-hmm. But Steven says, you're punishing people for a thought. I think about killing my boss all the time. I would never do it. But Amit's not punishing them for a thought. Amit, according to Arthur, knows if you will commit a crime in the future. It's not you might commit a crime. It's you will, right?
Yeah, that's what it is, because pretty much has that scale tattoo looking thing. And if it goes red, apparently, it's going to kill you right there and then.
So it kind of comes down to this. Arthur's philosophy comes down to how if you agree with him or not, how you answer the question. If you go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler to avoid the Holocaust? Yes, you have to kill a child, but yes, you are also saving millions of lives. What do you do? I think on a smaller scale, that's what this Amit's philosophy is.
Yeah. Before we get to that, let's jump into William's other comment here. I did not catch a BB-8 Easter egg.
I didn't either. I didn't, but I was also watching
Well, elaborate.
Quickly.
Yeah, elaborate. When I'd be glad to. Yeah, I checked it out twice. I actually maybe didn't see that. So, so pretty much that's the deal with that. And then, Layla shows up with the scarab, and then all hell breaks loose with there. And then she's telling her, like, some in the suit. and then, he can't, and he won't give control up either. So they're continuing. Then like the chase is on there, and she starts trying to plead with and reason with Steven. Like, Steven, all right, you have it. You don't have to give control off, so he can summon the suit. You can do it. And then meanwhile, Arthur has summoned this jackal over there that's chasing him, and then we get he's falling out a window. He gets knocked out a window.
So funny.
And then he summons the suit, and then we get Mr. Knight. We get the Mr. Knight version of Moon Knight, full-on suit.
Is that a comic book? Is that a comic book thing?
Yes, it's another version of Moon Knight.
Okay, because I loved that, and it took me a second to get why it was the white suit, and I think it's hysterical because he calls him like Psycho Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
And we were talking about D&D before, real quick. So my character actually has the ability to change his shape and has recently adopted a Colonel Sanders persona. And I got an action figure, and let me see if I can show it to you guys, but that's it, right? So That's him and his Colonel Sanders thing. So that kind of I really appreciated that, because I was like, wow, that reminds me of my D&D game. But outside of that, I love the fact that the Moon Knight suit is tailored to the personality of the alter who calls it.
Yeah, I thought, and he looks awesome.
He does. He's so cool.
Yeah, he looks awesome, but then he starts getting his ass kicked a bit because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's still Stephen Grant at this point, regardless. But you can see right away, like, he grabs onto that car and he's got like the super strength, and he doesn't really know how to wield it though.
Yep.
And then when he starts getting a bit more confident in there, he has this quote in there, and he's like, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. My name is Steven with a V."
Yes.
Had me cracking up. That shit was hilarious.
Because he's so awkward. And Isaac is so good at doing the like awkward English persona. But also I like that he does get some licks in. Like he doesn't
lays
just
him the fuck out.
He does, like, and like, well, actually it's not invisible to him, but he's just like pow. And yeah, of course it gets up and mops the floor with him because he doesn't know what he's doing. But I love that he is not useless. I like that it's like, no, he is Mark Spector. He can do this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and it's funny because then the bystanders, all they can see is him, and someone mentions that he's like having a seizure or something like that, like it's something else going on. I thought that was pretty cool, but yeah.
And the other one was like, no, I think he's just super drunk or something like that.
Yeah, it was people just writing it off, and then Layla's throwing shit at it and stuff like that, and trying to help him out here. And then he eventually lays the thing out, but then he goes to another glass thing, and you can see he has the conversation with Mark again. He goes, "Dude, you're out of your depth. You don't know what you're doing. This is too much power. Let me take over because people are getting hurt," and that registers with Steven. Steven's like, "All right, I was swearing I'm not going to give you control again and this and that, but for the sake of others, because all you can see clearly other people are getting hurt, I am going to give over control." And he does. And then we get him suit up like to traditional Moon Knight. When he pulls those blades of the moon off his chest, it's pretty fucking badass. And then we get this like chase scene battle where beautifully shot, jumping rooftop to rooftop with the moon in the back and everything. And it's full moon. And then if they're sticking with the comics accurate stuff, then that means he's at like the height of his powers while that's going on. And he ends up killing this fucking thing and pretty much it looks like it's by a church where he gets impaled.
I love that. It was such a cool shot when you just see it there in the moonlight. Yeah. That was awesome.
I thought that was pretty great. My favorite scene of the episode, but pulling out those blades in the moon was pretty sick.
Can I tell you what I just realized that I'm super excited about in conjunction with this show? Is that at some point very soon, the action figure line that I collect will come out with a Mr. Knight action figure, and I will pre-order that because that is going to be an awesome action figure.
Do you not have a Moon Knight action figure? I figure you have all of them.
No, I do. I just haven't. I need to. It's not out. It's not on display currently, and I need to redo the displays. And so I know I have 6 episodes before I lose the opportunity to bring it on. So
4 left. 4 left.
I have 4 left. So I'm gonna do. Look, I'm off after next week.
Okay.
So when I'm off, I'm gonna pull my action figures out. I'm gonna redo my displays so I can do an updated Moon Knight one, and then I will bring Moon Knight on the show.
Fair enough. We got a comment from Alex that he had dropped in earlier. The show's full moon for me. I love the post-traumatic vibes it gives, and the scene with Moon Knight taking control was amazing. And Alex, I'm 100% with you.
Yep.
That was my favorite scene of the episode, but I also loved seeing Mr. Knight for that. So all the Moon Knight stuff works on every level.
Yeah, I think overall it's a great episode.
No, it is. And then we apparently the Scarab falls in control of this random person in Arthur's village, and he kind of like talks him into it and gives it to him, but then he kills him right away. He shows up and takes him from him, and he's just like, we're going to create this world that's going to be heaven on earth, but you're not going to see it. Boom.
But we don't know because we didn't see, but does he just kill him, or did the scale say he needed to be killed?
Well, I think that ties into a comment William had in earlier.
Yes,
we also know what Amit's definition of a crime is. You're right.
And that's 100% correct. So you're right. I jumped to murder before. I kind of made it bigger, but you're right. If Amit's definition of a crime is you stole Tree Fitty from someone, yeah, you shouldn't be killed for that, no matter what.
It could have been anything.
Yeah, so that's a great point, Will.
Yeah.
Although, since I'll never agree with you, you don't know what you're talking about, man. They gave us a definition right away. You don't get it. You just don't get it, man.
The rivalry rages on. So then pretty much Steven goes ahead and they have a role reversal where Mark is in control and Steven's in the mirror and he's telling him to breathe and to work through it. And he's like, man, it sucks being on the side of the mirror and stuff like that. And he starts talking about how he's going to like take back control, and he tries to, and it just doesn't work. And Mark's explaining to him like, dude, even to be a fly on the wall, like in this mirror thing, it's going to take everything out of you.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to finish my job. I'm going to finish what I have to do. And then, that's like you mentioned earlier, you'll never see me again and you'll do this whole thing. And that's when the explanation is there of, he talks to Khonshu shows up and they have the conversation about, him wanting to, their deal, and that he wants to go ahead and take over, Layla. And then, he's just like, well, there's one last thing. But then Arthur warned him earlier that there's always another last mission. There always is. It doesn't matter. Yes. But I still think there's more to that.
I think there's more to it.
There's definitely more to it.
But I also think that's reinforced a little bit by this conversation with Khonshu. It's like, you like what I send you on. I don't really. Yeah. I want to leave. Well, you can leave, but you know who I'm eyeing up. It's like, so that's why I think there's something. There's something we're not seeing. Of course, it's Arthur's a bad guy. We know there's going to be some reveal that sends him to the point where we can't like sympathize with him anymore. But I do think that Khonshu reinforces the things he lets go about him.
Yeah. No, and I'm curious to see where that goes, because I still think there's going to be there's more to this puzzle.
There has to be. Yeah, there has to be.
Absolutely.
And also, I do want to point out, we don't know what Khonshu's definition of a crime is either, right? Because he is the spirit of vengeance, but we don't know like what kind of crime he is avenging. So, because we've also seen we saw Mark's handiwork, right?
Yes.
Of like people being shot execution style in the back of the head with their arms tied up, like some nasty shit that he's done for Khonshu. That of course it was for the vengeance. They were all evildoers, criminals, but I don't also think we know what Khonshu's definition of crime is. So I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah. So there's another comment we got here regarding Arthur's scene. He did not have his cane with him. I think he killed him not to have the guy Riz talking. I mean, possibly.
Yeah, it's possible.
Or Arthur and Amit are just kind of dicks. And they're just like, hey, we're taking people out.
Yeah, I mean, but I think I think ultimately it doesn't matter, because like in this the scene, because this is a homeless man who he promises food and shelter. He's like, I can give you food and shelter and money and anything you need to survive, just not that. He makes him a promise. Mm-hmm. And then whether he kills him because he doesn't want him to talk or because Amit says he should, it kind of still shows him as a villain, because he's attacking someone who's, in a weakened position while promising basic necessities to get what he needs just to kill him off. It's like, so I think that alone makes the point of this guy is the villain, even if you are, you know, a sociopath like myself and can really understand with what he's trying to do for society.
I don't know. Before we wrap this episode, no, not the whole episode, but Moon Knight part of it. So I posted this thing that's been floated out there about last week's episode. Okay? I know you saw it. We've commented on it, but I want to talk about it here briefly. Some people think they saw Dr. Doom's castle in the first episode of this, and there's also that box that's in the cupcake truck that looks like it says Von D. All right. As our resident Dr. Doom expert, is it Dr. Doom?
I don't think so.
Is this another Mephisto Reed Richards thing like I think it is?
I think it's another Mephisto Reed Richards thing. I think it might even be Marvel trolling us a little more, going, oh, you know, if we throw a castle in there and just put Von D. I mean, it could be Kat Von D, the tattoo artist. I mean, you know, but like, I think I think it's one of two things. It's Marvel trolling us, to kind of like prime the pump and get people sort of spitting out conspiracy theories again, like we were for WandaVision, because you know what? It sells. It's good stuff, right? Or two, it's Mojo.
Wow. Back to Mojo again.
Look, I've never left Mojo, okay? Every time I think I'm out, Mojo pulls me back in.
William and you were agreeing again. Wow.
I change it back. It's definitely Victor Von Doom.
I mean, I don't think it is. But
no, I don't think it is at all. In all seriousness, I do not think it. I honestly do think it's them just messing with the audience at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's fine. I'm already agreeing with it. So.
Damn it! Check the comment. Come on! But now I now said it was Von Doom, and now you say it's Von Doom, which means we're in agreement again. God, you know what? I'm done. I can't.
All right, so we'll get into Moon Knight episode 3 next Wednesday. But yeah, we also so we have a movie to talk about. To spoil the hell out of that dropped last Friday.
It was a movie.
Jason and I saw last Thursday in the first showing possible, because that's what we do as much as possible.
You have to do it. You have to do it.
Morbius, Sony's latest entry into the Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse.
Which, by the way, can you show my name? Because I picked my name specifically today.
Nope,
so
it's not showing it. No, it's damn it.
All right, it's okay. So that's fine. So my name is Swarm.
Yes.
And I've picked Swarm because I think Swarm, like Morbius, is a Spider-Man villain I don't give a shit about on their own without Spider-Man. Just saying. I just wanted to point that out before we get into the review of this movie.
Yeah, so the argument can be made for that, I think, as well. But listen, the way I looked at it as going into this was the expectations were not super high. Sony's track record of live-action films since the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3 have been crap. Repeatedly, we've talked about both Venom movies. We've talked about the unamazing Spider-Sham films that we had on here. We've covered all of them, so we've seen it. So my expectations were not very high, and this movie has a lot of potential, and I thought it did because I was like, all right, you can just do a vampire movie tied into the Marvel overall universe. No, it didn't work for me, like on so many levels.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do something different because obviously I didn't like this movie. I didn't hate this movie. I'm gonna say this. I just want to address this. People saying the worst Marvel movie ever. It's not, guys.
No, it's not.
It's not. Like this movie, I would have actually liked this movie if it dropped in 2003.
Yeah, because I think the problem is with Sony's Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movies, because they're both Venom movies. I think this film has the same problems those films have.
Agreed.
Lazy writing, uh, doesn't seem to know what it wants to really do. Um, but it has all the pieces set up to be successful. But you just hire mediocre directors and shitty writing, and this is kind of what you get. Like you kind of just you don't go all in. You just like
Right.
half-ass it. And that's
it.
what I think. It's a half-ass effort.
And that's why I feel it would have been fine in the 2000s, because I think a lot like the original Fantastic Four were not the first one's okay, but like the Rise of the Silver Surfer, or so many of those movies that were Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. I think a lot of the problem with those movies is they don't go all in. They try to scrimp and save, and but MCU goes all in. Right, and that's the difference.
Why they're successful,
and that's why they're successful. Exactly. So that's why I think like this isn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not the worst movie I've watched for this show for Grannies. It's not the worst movie I've watched for Grannies that Sony put out. Like, I if you put a gun to my head and you said I'm gonna give you 3 choices, you gotta watch at least one of these: Morbius, Venom, or the movie I refuse to acknowledge exists, The Unamazing Spider-Sham 2. Mm-hmm. I'm watching Morbius of those 3. So it's not the worst, but it's just not good. That's the problem.
So I think that, I know we talked about this after the movie, right? We were at Mighty Quinn's and stuff, and the 4 of us were talking about it.
Yeah. That food was good, by the way. I enjoyed that.
Mighty Quinn's is excellent barbecue.
Yeah.
Is what I just think that's what I landed on. I think it has some of the same problems as the Venom films, but I think the Venom films don't take themselves super seriously.
Yes.
Where Morbius does.
Yes.
And that's when I started to question, would I rather watch Morbius or one of the Venom movies? Because I feel like the Venom movies are a little bit more self-aware of what Let There Be Carnage is much more self-aware of what it is.
100%. When I said Venom, I meant Venom 1.
Yeah.
Because Let There Be Carnage is one of my favorite of the Sonys. It's not good, but it's got enough there for me where like I'd watch it again. Like I love Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
Yeah, I mean they're all 3 movies are really they're dumb movies.
Yeah, but they're fun dumb, some of them,
Well, that's what I'm saying, but that's what I just didn't think I didn't really have a lot of fun watching Morbius. I think it starts off with its first 20 minutes or half an hour or so where I'm like, all right, I'm kind of on board with this, except for the whole stuff early on with Matt Smith's character. Was it Milo?
Milo, yeah.
The whole thing with that, because we will get into character by character, because that's how we break down movies. But I'm on board with it for a little while, and then once he like becomes Morbius is when I started having problems.
Yeah,
I kind of saw the setup there, and then I'm like, wait, what?
To be honest, I wasn't even on board in the beginning. I was kind of bored in the beginning. I was kind of dozing off, to be honest with you. Like,
wow.
They're going to look at these bats and this and that. It's like, again, it's like I don't really care about Morbius as a character. For me, when I started enjoying the movie, it was Matt Smith, just because I like Matt Smith and I think he's great. He's great in everything he does. I actually just watched Last Night in Soho last night, where he plays someone, where he's in it, and I loved it. And and not because of him, it's a great movie, but I like seeing him, so he's a lot of my enjoyment. But like, yeah, the setup for me was like, all right, I know, look, you're going to become a vampire. I know you're going to become a vampire. Why are you making me sit through a half an hour of you doing research to become a vampire? Just stop. Just cut to the chase. Don't fucking kill the Waynes or Uncle Ben every goddamn time. And I know this is the only Morbius movie, but you know what? No one cares. Just give us cool vampire stuff.
And that's the conversation I had with Rick about this, because Rick, also likes vampire movies and horror movies as well. And I guess it seemed like it was working for him more as a vampire movie. And I'm like, I don't think it works as any movie. There's Matt Smith's character, Milo, who let's just get right off the bat why he's called Milo. Makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Okay, like in the beginning of the film, they're kids and they're in his home, and like, Michael Morbius is like, "Oh, you're the new Milo" or whatever, and he comes in, and then he's Milo for the rest of his life.
To the point
what
where,
the
like,
fuck was that?
To the point where, like, I would get if Morbius calls him Milo the whole time.
Everyone does.
I would get even if Jared Harris, what's the guy, the older British guy who's in freaking everything. But he was the teacher who took care of Milo.
Yeah, he was a doctor, right? And ends up dedicating his life.
Yes.
To curing him.
I get him calling him Milo because, okay, it became your nickname in boarding, in whatever the hell they would do in the hospital there.
Yeah.
And that's how he knows you. But everyone, the guy is rich. The guy is like a trust fund baby. He's got so much money that he's pouring into Morbius's research because he doesn't want to die of his blood disease the same as Morbius, because they're both dying slowly of a blood disease. And everyone calls him Milo like it's his real name. And then at the end of the movie, I'm just going to jump to spoilers here, when Morbius is about to kill him because he becomes the villain, which is like, he becomes the villain, and it is both, you see it coming a mile away and it still makes no sense, which is the worst thing you can have in a villain. But then he tells Morbius as he's killing him, "You killed me. You gave me my name." It's like, what? Did you legally change your name to Milo? What the fuck was that about?
Yeah, that pissed me off. And then Milo's motivations there. He kills the fucking doctor who's like, "Oh, you cared about Michael the whole time more." No, dude, this guy dedicated his whole fucking life to you. What are you talking about?
And here's the thing. Even if he did like Michael more than you, he dedicated his whole life to you. Not Michael. To curing you, to taking care of you, to making sure you're okay. And you know what? It wasn't because you were rich, because he obviously wasn't living off your money. So that made no sense. Like, and that's the thing about this movie. Like, this is why I don't think it works as a good vampire movie, right? Because a good vampire movie, and I think this was trying to do it, but it didn't do it well. So you got Michael Morbius, who is the vampire with a conscience. He is taken by his thirst and his hunger, and it's hard. He tries to fight it, but he can't always, right? Because
he has this blue synthetic blood is what he tries to suppress it.
Right. And then you got Milo, who gets the power and goes, "I just want to drink blood. I'm going to just give in to the dark side." That's interesting. That's an interesting vampire movie plot that is not explored here. We don't, like, Milo's character, as much as I like Matt Smith, Milo is not a character. Milo is a kid in the beginning. The only character moment we get from him that maybe he might go too far is when he hits a kid in the face with his cane and knocks him down and beats him up. But, like, I also didn't think that was going too far because 3 older kids tried to jump him. This is a kid, by the way, 3 older kids who are not sick with blood disease try to jump a kid with blood disease on crutches, and he gets a lucky shot on one. And the other 2 were scared away. It's like, of course, I'd beat the shit out of that kid too. Why the fuck were you bothering me? Leave me alone. So that was supposed to be the moment where we went, oh, maybe there's something off with Milo, but it's like,
there's evil in him from the beginning.
Right, but that scene was not the scene. That was not enough to make me go, oh, so as soon as you get this, you just start killing people indiscriminately? It's like, there was not enough here to make that work, even as a vampire movie for me.
Even with the way he becomes a vampire, when he goes ahead and he gets mad at Michael Morbius because he doesn't want to give it to him, because Morbius is like, dude, I took the thing. I fucked up. I'm trying to protect you. And he just goes ahead and fucking, like, steals it?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's stealing. He's funding all the research. I think he just literally goes in and takes it.
He just takes it.
Which, I mean, again, like, it's lazy. Like, I want more. I want more than that, because these guys legitimately grew up as brothers. There's a bond there. that's the whole point of making this guy the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel it.
No.
I don't feel that his heel turn to put the wrestling thing is justified. And I don't understand why Morbius goes, trust me, this isn't a good thing. And he goes, now you're my enemy. I'm taking it anyway. It's like, I don't know. If I was dying of a blood disease and my very, very, very best friend who was also dying of a blood disease, who was a doctor, who dedicated his life to trying to cure this blood disease for both of us, and he comes up with what might be a cure and then comes to me and says, look, dude, I am saving you something. This is not a cure. It makes it worse. It will extend your life, but it will make it miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go, you're my enemy now. I'm kind of go, you just want it for yourself. I'm kind of going to go, shit, man, thanks for looking out for me.
Yeah, people just start doing shit to do shit in this movie. And
right.
It's not just like Milo. Let's talk about Morbius. I actually think Jared Leto's fine in this movie. I don't have any issues with him. He has some stupid dialogue to work with at times.
Yeah.
Especially there's this one really stupid Hulk reference where he's like, I'm hungry. You're not going to like me when I'm hungry. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
And then there's also, I want to point out the bad editing too, because there's a scene in the trailer that works that does not work in here, where when he's like, and everyone's seen this trailer, when it starts off with him putting his hood on, what part of the movie this is, the part of the movie where the weird guy in the hood kicks the hell out of everyone. I like that part. That's stupid dialogue, by the way. I didn't like that shit at all. But then when he kicks the hell out of him, he goes, oh my God, who are you? And he goes, I'm Venom. Then
he puts the fangs out, yeah.
He puts the fangs out and he goes, I'm just kidding. Michael Morbius at your service. That's kind of funny, right? Yeah. But they cut the punchline out where they go, who are you? Because I'm Venom. And then they just cut to the next scene. It's like,
yeah.
What?
Like, it served no purpose outside of, there's 2 lines in this movie that need to tell you what universe it takes place in. Because going into it, we came into this movie with a lot of questions, especially after Spider-Man No Way Home, right? And from the trailers, they teased you with like, oh shit, there's Adrian Toomes. Oh shit, there's a Spider-Man poster on the wall that says murder on it, but it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. What the hell's going on here? And neither one of those things are in the movie.
No, you know what I like to call that? I like to call that lying to your audience.
And like, the director came out and talked about it. He said that he didn't know why those things were in the trailer.
Wow, so that was never even in the movie.
Classic studio interference, my friend.
And let me tell you, and I think that right there for me really rings the bells that Sony should just pack it up, take a fucking payout, and give this shit back to the MCU. And here's why. Could you imagine if Spider-Man No Way Home, if they hinged their entire ad campaign on the fact that the Sony Venom shows up in the post-credits? Because that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine an MCU movie completely hinging its advertisement on another character from a series of this stuff that you like is here?
And they would never do it in a million years.
No, and it's sad to see that Sony does that to pull the bait and switch. Like, if you're going to do that, go all in. Make Michael Keaton a goddamn character in this movie, even a small one. Make him appearing make sense. Make something make sense other than try not to smack me in the face with, we just wanted your money.
Yeah,
because that's what it was.
And you're right, and that's why it made, $39 million at the box office this past weekend. For these movies, that is solid, and it's might be successful, and then it could stop. So, but either way, Jared Leto's Michael Morbius, though, is solid, deals with his shit, works through some shitty writing. He's not a problem with it. But yeah, he's got some stupid dialogue to like have the fight through. There's humor in this movie that really falls flat constantly. It doesn't work. And then I guess that also brings us to the 2 most useless FBI agents in history. of cinema, possibly.
Oh yeah, I actually forgot they were in this movie, and I just saw this movie with you last Thursday.
Yes. So we get Tyrese in this movie with his partner, who Tyrese's goal in this movie is to pretty much just walk around and look constipated.
And he does that well, swimmingly.
Yeah, but I mean, Tyrese is a guy who kind of seems like he has a bit more spark to him, a bit more energy that you could have tapped into.
Yeah.
And he chose not to and just have him brood for every scene that he's in. And those two FBI agents do nothing throughout this entire film. They're tracking them and don't do anything. They have no barring on the plot whatsoever.
And yeah, right. I mean, they do literally nothing except for like harass Morbius. Like they put him like they're the ones who put him in prison, which I guess that's how we get the reveal that Matt Smith Milo is a vampire. But like, I don't know, man. Adding two useless characters for just that, I didn't need all that time with either of them.
Well, the big reveal when we find out that they're super useless is that when Michael Morbius is locked up, there's footage found of him, and they look at it, and then they think it's Michael Morbius because someone's being attacked by vampires, and then all of a sudden there's a shot of Matt Smith's character Milo right up in front of the fucking TV, and they're still like, we don't know who this is. How do you not know who this is when the guy's face is right in front of the fucking camera?
It's so, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that too, because I think and we were talking about that on Thursday too, but I blocked it out. That's the stupidest shit ever. It's like, you pointed this out to me, Ed. Milo is super rich.
Yes.
We know what the super rich look like.
Yes.
That's just it. Okay? If fucking Jeff Bezos became a vampire and started getting caught on camera doing vampire shit, we wouldn't go, oh, I don't know, is that Michael Morbius? Like, no, we go, that's Jeff Bezos. Yeah, like, it made no sense. And also, the fact that they see this guy's face, Matt Smith.
It's a close-up.
It's a close-up. It's literally, it could have been taken from Doctor Who, for Christ's sake. It's just Matt Smith doing his Matt Smith thing, right? He looks nothing like Jared Leto. Milo, the character, looks nothing like Jared Leto, Michael Morbius. Let's point out. See, Michael Morbius has long hair and like Alan Moore facial hair. Matt Smith, no facial hair and a nice coif. Like, how do you look at a picture? I'm not even saying maybe they don't know it's Milo. Maybe because they don't know him as Milo, right? I don't know. Hand wave, right? But you don't look at that picture and go, that's Michael Morbius, I believe. We're going to keep him in prison. I mean, come on.
It's bad. It's really bad. And then the fight at the end is really underwhelming. Like, it's just a bunch of blah, and you can't even see what the hell's going on.
It's like watching a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Yeah, or like if you've seen like some of the Bourne movies and stuff, the way that they shoot the action fight sequences, there's like shaky camera, and there's this like thing when they move, there's like this hologram thing behind them that keeps on going on, and it looks cool, but you can't really see what the hell's going on in the fight. So I don't get that at all. It's just an underwhelming finale at the end, and then they have the nerve to set up like his love interest as a vampire in the movie. So he goes to feed on her.
Right, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, to stay like alive, but then she eventually turns into a vampire at the end.
Because I think there was some blood from his lip.
Yeah, like she bit his lip or something.
But like also, that's not been established as a way to turn someone in this. Like, yes, we as people outside of the MCU living in this society know about vampires. We're inundated with vampire stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, yes, shorthand, we know you drink a vampire's blood, right? They drink yours, you drink theirs.
Lost Boys, like the Lost Boys.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same, like literally, I just taught Dracula to my seniors. It's literally, that's where it's from, right? Dracula, Lost Boys, all this stuff, right? That is not set up in this movie. The way it is set up that you become a vampire in this movie is that you take the Michael Morbius serum that him and Milo took. So
that's it. It's the only way.
That's it. So it's like they give us not even a throwaway piece of dialogue that in a test I saw that when rats who had this exchange blood, one becomes the other. Nothing. It just happens.
And things but that's this movie. Things just keep happening.
Yes. No, that's exactly it. This should be called Morbius Things Happen.
Morbius happens.
Morbius happens. That's even better. God damn it! I hate when you get a better joke than I do. Yes, that is it. Morbius happens.
Yeah. So, well, let's get to the thing that might be the most infuriating thing for me is the post-credit scenes in this movie. Mid-credit scenes. Sorry. So do not stay if you're going to go see this. Do not stay into the end credits. You got one right after, and then you got the mid-credits, and that's it.
Don't even stay in the mid-credits, guys. Look it up.
No, but I mean, you can see. Listen, there's sometimes like you hear about shit, and you want to just see shit.
Yeah, no,
so whatever.
I get it.
So the first post-credit scene shows that Adrian Toomes. It shows the cracks in the sky, which is supposed to resemble the ending of Spider-Man: No Way Home, and Adrian Toomes is brought from an MCU jail cell to a Sony Venomverse jail cell, I guess, for some reason. And then he's just kind of like, he says some crack like, I hope the food is better here. All right. So then we're going to break down how these things make absolutely no fucking sense on any level in a second. So that jumps to the other credit scene where Michael Morbius is in a car driving in the middle of the desert, meets up with Adrian Toomes in full Vulture suit.
Yes.
And they have this quick conversation like Adrian Toomes is telling him like, dude, I'm here from another universe. I have a weird feeling it has something to do with Spider-Man. I think we should team up and do some good. And Morbius is like down with it. Okay. Why is Adrian Toomes being brought out of the MCU for the spell that only is supposed to be bringing everyone who knows who Peter Parker is Spider-Man to the MCU? Why would it kick him out of the MCU?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Why?
That's the thing. The spell brings everyone who knows who Peter Parker is Spider-Man to the MCU, right?
Yes.
Now, the Vulture before, and we did talk about this, before the end of No Way Home, the Vulture knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Yes.
Right? So, no reason before the end of that movie he would be expelled to another universe. And then after that, he doesn't know anymore because no one knows. So he knows that Spider-Man put him behind bars. And that might make him very angry. And that might make him want to get Spider-Man. And that might make him want to be a villain again. But what would not make him is someone who is sent to the frickin' Sonyverse. It makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense. And also what makes no sense is how the fuck did he get his Vulture costume again?
That was another thing. Like, because my friend, my Walter, friend of the show, Walter, has been on. He didn't see this movie, but he doesn't want to. He spoiled it for himself. He asked me one question. He goes, what is when Michael Keaton like zaps from one universe to another, what's he wearing? I'm like, just a prison jumpsuit. He goes, yeah. So where the hell did he get that suit? And he said what I always say, like, you couldn't have made it because there's no Chitauri anything.
Or Stark Tech.
There's no Tinkerer, as you pointed out.
Yep.
And why the hell would the suit come with you? You weren't wearing it.
Yeah, it's really fucking dumb. And why would Michael Morbius go and meet up with this random dude that he's never seen before? And why does he care about teaming up with him to fight Spider-Man? What is Michael Morbius' history with Spider-Man in a Spider-Verse that we haven't seen this? It hasn't been revealed yet because the director had said, oh, there is a Spider-Man in this universe, but they haven't revealed it. Many are leading to believe that it's going to be Andrew Garfield, that it will be the Spider-Man of the Venomverse, and the big reveal is going to be that's all the same universe. Whatever. It still doesn't make any fucking sense, though.
No.
Even if that turns out to be what happens, it still doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't because there's no Spider-Man in this movie.
Yes.
Right? and this was Morbius, which Morbius was the hero of this movie. Morbius, like, at least Venom in those Venom movies are anti-heroes. He's an anti-hero, right? So, yes, if there was a Spider-Man, maybe Spider-Man would not take so kindly to a symbiote eating people's brains. Okay, I get why they would have conflict. Michael Morbius is a good guy who went out of his way to save people and tortured himself with hunger to not drink human blood. Like, he's a good guy. Why is he going to want to fuck with Spider-Man? It makes no sense. And why the hell would the Vulture be here? Like, even if Andrew Garfield is the Spider-Man, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Garfield went to the MCU, as we saw, and he came back to this Sonyverse, right? The Vulture never saw him. This would only make sense if the Vulture was in No Way Home, got a glimpse of Andrew Garfield in the spider suit,
mm-hmm.
right? Then the spell was cast. He forgets about Peter Parker, but because he still remembers Andrew Garfield, who is not affected by the spell, he's repelled to that world. That would have made this make sense, but none of that is in any of this movie, or the other, or No Way Home. Like, so there's no groundwork to make this work.
Well, I will say one thing though. Let's just play along with this for a second, right? In the first post-credit scene, he knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Second post-credit scene, let's say it's post-spell, and he now knows that he doesn't know who Spider-Man is. All he knows is that Spider-Man put him in prison. Then I can see him having a gripe with Spider-Man, any Spider-Man. At that, all he knows is Spider-Man, and that's it. So maybe I'm going very loosely with this. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I don't know why he would be pushed into this world in the first place. That's my point.
No, I agree with you. That's where the problem. There's no fixing that at all.
No, and that's what I was trying to fix was what I said was if he saw Andrew Garfield Spider-Man,
okay.
Then you could say that when the spell was cast and he forgot that Tom Holland was Peter Parker,
but knew Andrew Garfield,
right? Then the spell might have had an effect that threw him to that universe simply because it was meant to draw you to the Spider-Man Peter Parker and that's now the one he knows. That if they did something in any of these movies to make that happen, this would make sense. This is literally just, I think, Sony went to Marvel. We'll let you use Venom. We'll let you create your own MCU Venom that doesn't interfere with ours, but we want like Michael Keaton because I think, that'll get us more money with the least amount of work. That's really what I think happened.
And the two things, though, that pissed me off about that is, number one, we're losing Adrian Toomes in the MCU.
Yes.
He's fucking great. He's one of the best MCU villains to date.
100% he's so good. And it's Michael Keaton as Adrian Toomes. And it's this working class. Like, it's not the Adrian Toomes from the comic. And if we're losing him, to be wasted in the Sonyverse, because you know what? I don't care what anyone says. Look, if you like the Sonyverse, that's great. That's good for you. I'm not shitting on you. You enjoy what you enjoy. Me, I don't like the Sonyverse. Like, outside of, the first two Raimi Spider-Man movies, it's, at best, they are going to waste him.
But that's my point, though. That's the other thing is, what are you doing with him? You're getting him to join up with Michael Morbius to make some sort of weird concoction of the Sinister Six again. And the thing is, it brings me back to, I'm sorry, I'll say it, Amazing Spider-Man 2, which they had their problem in that, is that Sony can't seem to stop rushing to this fucking Sinister Six movie that they think is like their Avengers.
Right.
Listen, newsflash, Sony, guess what? The Sinister Six are not the Avengers. They're not the X-Men. They're not the Fantastic Four. They're not the fucking Justice League. They're none of them. They're a group of Spider-Man villains. Without Spider-Man, they're useless. Nobody gives a flying fuck about any of them.
And, who else are they going to round out in this pathetic Sinister Six?
I'll tell you right now. I don't know
Kraven.
if they're going to... Kraven, we have a Kraven movie coming, which my hope for that now has really gotten even lower after Morbius. You have a Madam Web movie coming?
Madam Web without Spider-Man.
Exactly.
What?
Exactly.
Like, all right, so the projects after that are going to be the Chameleon, the Jackal.
Scorpion?
No, Scorpion. Scorpion MCU has.
Well, who knows? Maybe they'll steal them.
True. But Scorpion's actually a good villain. I was just thinking of shitty villains. Like,
I'm just naming villains that have been in the Sinister Six, which there have been many, but
yeah,
like the Avengers, anyone can kind of jump in.
Morbius was never in the Sinister Six because Morbius is not really a villain. He's more like he's a doctor who like this whole like I become a vampire and I'm in control. That's not Morbius in the comic. Like, he's a real smart doctor who gets infected with this blood disease that turns him into a vampire at times, and he has no control over it.
Exactly. William's got an interesting question to bring up here. Are they still doing Silver Sable at some point?
Oh, right. I'm sure they will.
To my knowledge, that was shit canned, but who the fuck knows? It can get resurrected at this point. The only ones that are in production are Kraven the Hunter and Madam Web. And a Venom 3 is supposed to be coming here. Like, or is this Sinister Six going to fight Venom instead?
Who cares?
It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. Who cares?
It doesn't work either way. Like, but I'm just saying, I just feel like they're obsessed with it.
I know.
Because they want it to be their Avengers. And they're just not. They're not at all.
No, they're not. They're a villain team.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what are you going to do with a Sinister Six movie without Spider-Man? Are they going to sit around and tell stories about how Spider-Man fucked them up?
Oh, I almost got him. Let's play some cards. Like that Batman.
Yeah, like the Batman. That's what I mean. The Batman the Animated Series episode. But remember, though, these guys never met Spider-Man, so now what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I know. Are there any even superheroes outside of Venom in this Sonyverse? Like, we don't know, right?
There shouldn't be. I mean, unless they're going to, like, pull out... I don't know what the contractual stuff works with, like, a live-action Miles Morales, if they were going to go that route, or Miguel O'Hara, if they're going to do Spider-Man 2099, or who the hell knows, any other variant of Spider-Man. So
I'm sure they'll go with the most useless. Oh, you know what they're going to do? Here's what they're going to do. They're going to do the run of Spider-Man where Spider-Man was eaten by... Peter Parker was eaten by a ton of little spiders if you know about this one, who then, became conscious by eating Spider-Man, realized what they did, put the spider suit on underneath, and acted as one Spider-Man. That's going to be the Sonyverse Spider-Man, because that's who should fight Morbius and Swarm and all these other useless fucking people they're pulling in that I don't care about outside of their world in Spider-Man.
Swarm.
And by the way, Sony, I'm going to say fuck you, Sony, for stealing Kraven, because I want a real Kraven Spider-Man movie. Give him to the MCU. Come on.
Kraven, before they came up with the No Way Home idea, and the multiverse idea, Kraven was being thrown around as the villain in the third Spider-Man movie.
Oh, it would have been so good. Like that, because that Kraven's Last Hunt is such a good comic.
That's all you need to adapt. And by the way, I busted out my box of comics, and they're here. They're in the room with me now.
Nice.
And I kind of browsed through them. So, yes, I have Kraven's Last Hunt in there, of course. That's one of them that's in there.
Sweet.
I noticed, though, out of my comics that I have left over, I was telling Rick, like 80% of them are Spider-Man. And there's like 10% X-Men, and there's the other 10% is Batman.
Nice.
So,
hey, you got good taste.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Spider-Man run that I have the most of, right, is the original Spider-Man title that Todd McFarlane did. Morbius pops up in there.
Oh, he does, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Morbius in there, and then there's the Torment line. And there's also this amazing Spider-Man miniseries that I have with Moon Knight.
Ooh.
That's in it. Spider-Man teaming up with Night Thrasher and Moon Knight, and Punisher.
Did you find your copy of Sleepwalker 1?
I am actually upset that I did not have it. I don't know what happened to it. And I don't have Darkhawk 1 or Wonder Man #1 because I had them at some point.
Of course you did.
They must have went in the purge when I moved around many times. And I'm like, fuck this. I need to keep the ones I really want.
You got to get rid of some of them, man.
But I do have this one that's a limited edition. It's like bagged also. It's the Trial of Venom, and it's with Spider-Man, Venom, and Daredevil.
Oh wow, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. So, all right, so that's pretty much Morbius. I mean, hey, we wanted to like it. I think we could both agree it's whatever. It's not what you want.
I tried. I had misgivings. I don't like the Spider-Man-less Spider-Verse, but you know what? I'll go into Craven with an open mind too. You know, I'll keep going in with an open mind, but
yeah, my confidence is waned a lot. It wasn't very high, but it's waned even further. So I'm just going because it's like, hey, it's our assignment for the week, so let's just go and hope to have a good time.
I mean, here's the thing. I got to watch it for the show.
Yeah.
You know?
Kind of where it's at, so whatever. All right. Well, thanks for joining us tonight on this episode. Always appreciate it. Again, if you're joining us on the Facebook stream, you can go ahead and go to Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group and join the group for the daily conversation with a bunch of stuff that doesn't make the show. And join Pop Culture Pros group also, because there's a lot of cool shit going on there as well. If you're joining us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros, and check out some stuff. Twitter, follow us at Pop Culture Pros, and subscribe on wherever you found your podcast, whether it's Spotify or Apple iTunes or wherever it is. So, we always appreciate all of that. And then you can go ahead and check out the other stuff that's here. So, besides us, I will plug our show to start off with. Yes. We'll be back next Wednesday. Our movie of the week is going to be Dick Tracy.
I'm excited for this. And I know I've been saying this for a while. I don't know if I'm going to have time, but I'm going to try to watch Dick Tracy and Batman 89 back to back. Even though I just watched Batman 89, it doesn't matter. I can watch that movie every day for the rest of my life. But I mean, I'm so excited to talk about this because I think Dick Tracy is one of those weird comic strip movies. And I think it works. I think it works more than we give it credit for looking back at it. So
I haven't seen it in a while. I'm excited to watch it again because it's been a very, very long time. So I did enjoy it as a kid though. So we'll be talking about episode 3 of Moon Knight, and we'll be talking about episode 10 of The Flash. So you can go ahead and join us next Wednesday at 8:30 for that. If you are into baseball, we got 2 baseball shows. We got the Empire 161 show, which I co-host with Lisa Garcia, and we talk about the New York Yankees. We got opening day on Friday, baby. So that's it. So we'll be talking about the Yankees-Red Sox series and a couple other topics we got on tap. If you're into the New York Mets, you got to Put It in a Book show with Faraci and with Keith and with Rodriguez. They cover the New York Mets, so you've got that on tap. If you're into wrestling, you can check out Eric and Tim on the Just Too Sweet show. They're on Tuesday nights. Disneyland is your thing. You got Skyliner Views. They're on tomorrow night at 8:30. If you're into James Bond, on Monday nights, Jason hosts 00 Deep Dive. Jason, what's up? What's coming up next Monday?
So we got we're 3 into the Roger Moore run. It's with The Spy Who Loved Me, which I'm excited to talk about because I think, as I remember, that is my favorite of the Roger Moore run.
Oh, okay.
And it only goes downhill from there, but I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it. So I'm excited to rewatch it too.
All right, so and we'll discuss off air. I'll see if I can do my best to join you guys on Monday. I don't think I have anything on tap, so we'll see how it goes. So you can check that out. I know they're on hiatus this Friday, but you can check out if you like Eric and Tim. Get the A to Z show, we'll be back next Friday, and they cover everything from
Bryan Adams to Warren Zevon.
Wow, man, we're stretching it now. We're stretching.
Did you? No, I have others. Did you want me to say Adams?
No. Stick with that. No, stick with that because we have so many more to go. But I like the work you're putting into this. I love it.
And here's the thing. I want to point out again, like I've done on Double Deep Dive, I didn't Google words that start with A and Z. I came up with literally everything on this card. And when we get close enough, I'm going to have to come up with more. I refuse to Google them. It's like my crossword puzzle. It's a mental thing I got to do.
I like that. All right, so it's pretty much the ones we got on the network right now. And then there's a bunch of shows that are, kind of on hiatus right now, but we'll plug those when they come back to wrapping around. So, all right, so, check out Morbius, check out Moon Knight, check out The Flash, and I guess we'll see you next week. All right? Peace.
All right. Ed, but you gave me my name.